So this is the 8th match, I think, in year at Tunnel. I can't remember what date we're on. We're about February the, I don't know, 24th, 25th, something like that. It's a Thursday. And as the name suggests, it's me doing a match a week for a year, very much as a average Joe angler, and just explaining how I get on. So it's a bit unusual for me. This is a Thursday match, which is a vets match. I do fish the odd one of these through the year, and given it was mild and I thought we might be able to catch a few today, I decided to come on. Also got a big work project starting next week, so I thought I'd just get in a session while I could. And yeah, so today we've drawn, I think there's 45 of us on today, so good numbers. And I actually predicted it beforehand. I actually precisely predicted I'll be on high pool 17 in writing in advance, a day in advance, and I have drawn, well, Sarah has drawn for me high pool 17. Don't fish high pool very often because generally it's not in on the opens. It's in on the festivals, and it's in on the the vets matches on a Tuesday and a Thursday, so it's not a pool I'm terribly familiar with. That being said, when I do fish it, I tend to end up on high pool 17, so I'm not completely unfamiliar with that. And we'll check in at the start, but the interesting feature today is it's breezy, and they're going to get breezier. It's up and down, but it's meant to be a pretty stiff breeze today. It's high pool, it's kind of the top of the complex, and we're pretty exposed up here, so that's going to make things tricky. I'm going to try and kind of work out what I'm going to be doing. The slight advantage is it's kind of over my shoulder, so my edges are slightly more protected. Well, not wholly, and I suspect when that wind gets up they won't be, but it could be worse at the moment, so it could be quite awkward fishing today. Anyway, we'll give it a go, see how we get on, and I'll check in with you at the start. And as usual, we'll do a sort of hourly update, catch up right at the end, see how we're doing, and I'll do a quick update tomorrow once I know the results and had a chance to reflect on how it's all gone down. Anyway, I'll catch up with you in a bit. Okay, that's the all in. I have to say, I'm not sure I've got the world's greatest plan here. The wind is completely up and down. It was in my mind to have a dob across, but it's just as that whistle went, the wind got up again, and I don't think I'm going to be able to present anything any good anyway. Let's do this for a couple of minutes, but I think we'll just see how we get on, see if we can get one over there, a few over there. The wind is kind of off my back and up and down, and a little bit awkward. Oh, that was a bite, I think. Got my back shot a little bit close to my float at the moment, as you can see. Yeah, let's just change that back shot. I don't think we're going to be doing this for very long. It's a bit awkward. But it is up and down, but it's going to get up. So I think plan B is to fish pellets shortish to begin with. I don't fancy my edges today. if we could just get a little break in this wind, I might be able to get a few across here. It is quite gusty. And so we're on peg 17, which is next to kind of the fabled peg 15 on High Pool, very famous peg. Not sure it's quite what it used to be, but it's a good peg. There we go. I think those water well lifted up anyway. That's a nice fish. That was well worth having. Didn't really expect to have that. It's a bit coloured for dobbing. So, I wasn't entirely sure how that was going to work. But nice to get one. And so we're on 17, which is right next to 15. And as I said in the intro, it's a peg I sort of draw on a fairly regular basis. So, though my knowledge of High Pool generally is pretty awful, few little operational issues to sort out here. There we go. So this is one I have had, so it's carry on dobbing. Now we've had one. And the wind's dropped a little bit again. But I think what we're going to do is try and catch on pellets short to begin with, once I've sort of given up on this. And then we are going to ping a few maggots out. Now the match on Tuesday, the over 50s, that was was won by my Misfits colleague, Nick Jameson, and I know he caught shallow. That's a bite as well. Pay attention, Rich. So I'm going to ping a few mags out there. Hope we might get the odd one shallow. And then I'm hoping between sort of pellets and maybe catching a few shallow. It's not going to happen, it's not. I'll keep it going, but I fancy the edges here. I think we will catch down the edge, but as ever, I don't want to go on that too early, because if the wind's getting up, there's a bit of risk, there's nowhere to go. But we'll edges and then probably maggot short, so if we can get some on that. Yeah, I said I came in here because it was mild. So it's one of a nice day's fishing. But so got to read that. but I think it could be a tough day. Anyway, nice enough start. We'll catch up in a bit and I'll let you know how we're getting on. Okay, this is our hour 2 update. Not entirely sure whether the hour 1 update recorded or not. If it didn't, I caught across Dobbing Bread and had about 7 before the wind just made that pretty much impossible. Let's drop down a bit now. Then I switched to short on expander on the hook, tapping in micros, and I think I've had 10 decent F1s, so I think I have 17. I just had the skimmer, 17 the skimmer, so it's been quite nice. I'm pinging out a few maggots. I will have a little look shallow. I'm not sure that's going to work, but it's worth a quick look. And this line, I think it's just starting to tail off a bit now. So we'll probably have a look shallow, and then if there's no signs on that, won't do that for very long. Then I think we'll just put another section on, or just move this line in some way. Perhaps we'll just move to the left or the right and start again. Well, this has been a nice line. So 17 fish and decent stamp. No really small stockies. Steady size, some better fish in there as well. So, but it's fishing well. Don't know everyone's names. 19's catching well. Not sure about 15. Dave Chapman on 21. I think he's catching well. So there's a few coming out, but it's kind of the start I wanted. I fancy the edges, and I felt if I could just tick over for 2 to 3 hours and then go on the edges and hopefully do well there. But it's been a little bit better than I was expecting. I didn't really expect to catch Dobbin, to be perfectly fair. Just didn't. It's quite coloured, and I thought the wind was going to make presentation impossible. But it was awkward, but it was okay. The wind's a real pain in the backside actually at the moment. There we go. I think that's a very big fish. Wasn't much of an indication either, but at least we've had one. Now maybe a bit more there. Meets the eye. Yeah, there's a big fish. I know, a terrible piece of netting, Richard. That's a nice fish. That's a nice fish. That's gonna be, I don't know, heading for £3, I think. Chopped in the top lip. So that's 18. So 2 hours in, and we're ticking over. Nice day really, but the wind, I have to say, is an utter pain. And not great with wind. It's just, it makes everything awkward. I probably haven't got the patience for it, to be fair. But that's where we are. We'll have a catch up at the 3 hour mark. Alright, we're just having a catch up before the 3 hour mark. We're going to go on our margin lines in a minute. We'll be potting those. When I last left you, I was on a sort of shorter expander line. I've just moved that out a section that kind of dried up. I had a look shallow, and unsurprisingly didn't have anything. Only gave that 10 minutes. All I can hear at the moment is, as you can tell, it is really windy. All I can hear is kit going flying everywhere. I don't think it's necessarily just mine. but it's the wind in the last 20 minutes has really got up. Here's one. It's really difficult to fish this line. You can't see what bites you're getting, but we are getting fish on it. So I'm actually, I've got at this point 25 F1s, and get this in with 26, but this has proved pretty good. I mean, the plan is to go on margins, but frankly, when we are catching decent fish here, and a lot of these are a good stamp. Popped up there, but they are catching down the edge. And the lads on 19 is down the edge. Well, everyone's down the edge actually, other than me. I can, well, on this section, and they're all catching well, but I didn't want to blow my edges out, so I want to see if we can get another one on here. That's 26 F1s after 3 hours, but Dave Chapman on 21, the guy on 19 are catching, Brian on 15 is catching. I haven't seen so many catching elsewhere, but this straight seems to be good. I say there's a lot of kit flying around. All I'm hearing really is crash bang wallop, and I'm sort of the whole time thinking, is that my stuff? I've just had to throw a load in the car because it was likely to end up in the lake otherwise. But I'm surprised this line has been as good as it has, and it's lasted, particularly with the chop on there as well. It can't make for the best presentation. I'm almost sort of thinking that's another one. The way it's going at the moment, there's no point coming off it. This is one of them, isn't it? Dave Chapman up there, I think when it was very early matches, I asked him for some advice. I asked him what I thought I got wrong in a match, and he said, never come off feeding fish. So I have had that ringing in my ears. That's a nice fish. That's a nice fish. I've had that ringing in my ears about 4 years now. Never come off feeding fish, Richard. So, I think I'll carry on this for a while. It's 27, but that was a good old boy, that one. Trying to read these bites, not the easiest, I have to say. They are responding to quite a few micros, I think. But I have to say, this wind is an utter pain in the backside. See, Braz has got another one. Let's just come off, let's make expander. Anyway, that's where we are at the 3 hour point. If I don't get blown in the lake, if I don't lose my gear in the lake, I'll catch up with you at 4 hours. Okay, so this is the end of the 4th hour, and I'm back on this. Just gone back on this expanders micros line. It is extremely windy. It's very difficult. I was catching a bit further out on expanders and micros. I'm catching quite well, to be fair. Just felt like it was tailing off a little bit. So I've gone down my edges. I've had 3 or 4. I don't quite seem to have been able to make them work. My right edge, I've hooked up on the bottom twice. And just sort of coming back to this now, just wondering if this is going to be better. I might get maybe some carp coming down the edge, but just didn't feel the edge was quite working for me. So that's about. It's very awkward having to have a section behind me, so that if I do hook something, I can come back and just get it on the rollers. If I don't have it on the rollers and the wind's flipping the kit into the water, so it's a bit of a nightmare. But I think I've had, where are we, about 38 fish, I think. But it'd be nice if we could keep this going. I'm not going to catch many with a pellet, without a pellet on. I could do with a sort of run on this shoreline now, really. I don't feel as if my edges are going to quite get the volume. Yeah, everyone's catching quite well, I think. Brian on 15's catching down his margins. Lad next to me's on 19, don't know his name, apologies, he's catching well. And Dave on 21 is catching well as well, so I think I'm probably behind, but it's a nice day's fishing, that's the key thing. If we get a little run down here, it's definitely been best. A bit surprised I couldn't quite get that edge really going, but if this doesn't start working for me, this is so awkward with this section out the back, it just makes striking so difficult. But anyway, if this doesn't work for me here, I'll go back down the edges again and finish off down there. So if we can try and make them work. Just fishing a bit of ground bait and sweet corn, but maybe sweet corn's not right. Or maybe I'm not fishing it quite right. But it's been a lovely day's fishing. Well, you know, yeah, that's a fish. So you can just put it back into the rollers now and not have to worry about the wind blowing the section into the water. We're landing it jammed. Just, you know, wind just, I don't know, some people better with it than others. It's not a massive fish. It's just underneath the chin is why. Oh, and that was me landing that pole going on camera. Nice. Right, anyway, we do have a spare, so we could go and sort that out in a second. And right, put him in there. And yeah, Well, we said you'd see plenty of live issues, and that is just one of them. Not quite sure what happened there. Must have knocked it at some point. But anyway, we will go and get another landing net pole and carry on from there. Yeah, just snapped. Right, I'll catch up with you near the end. Alright, couple of minutes or so before the end, and yeah, a slightly disappointing last hour really. Haven't set the world alight. I think last time you saw me I was breaking a landing net handle, or it broke. I don't think I broke it as such, it just broke on me, honestly. And I've ticked over since then, but I could have done with having a really good run. I haven't really managed to make these edges work. It's a problem. Right hand side I kept snagging up, so I kind of lost the right hand side. I lost confidence on the right hand side. I've had a few out of this little bay on the left here. Just foul hooked a big carp, I think, just raced up the lake and broke me. I've tried to sort of catch on expander and micro short, but that hasn't really happened. I think we've had a few, but on the odd bite. And this has been a bit slow. Looking up there, Dave's playing one. Chap on 29 is now catching well short. And mine kind of spinning my wheels really. So I don't think I've quite got these edges right, but look, it's been a lovely day's fishing. Conditions I would call officially difficult. I think it was forecast to be I think it said a 15 mile an hour moderate breeze, but it's been pretty breezy. We are on High Pool, which is highest pool here, and more exposed I think than the others. But yeah, there's quite a few come out. I'm pretty sure I haven't beaten the ones around me, to be honest. I think they've got more than me. I don't know what I've got. I lost count a little bit. 45 F1s. I made the absolute not rookie error, but I didn't put 3 nets in to begin with. I was catching well, and I was losing track of what I was putting in which net of the 2 I'd got in. And I didn't want to get a good run down at the end, so I have got up and put a 3rd net in, which is always one of those things. You look a right wally if you're going weighing 50 pounds or something, which I might. There we go, that's the end of it. Well, nice size fishing. But breezy. So that will weigh in, and we'll have a catch up tomorrow. Let you know once we've seen the results and what people have caught. But it's nice to have a few. It hasn't rained yet either. I know it's forecasted, but it hasn't done as yet. So I'm going to pack up now and head off. I'll try and get my gear into the car while it's still dry. Anyway, I'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Right, so quick update following yesterday's match. Just to give you this a bit of context. This is a year at Tunnel, which is me, very much an average Joe angler fishing a match a week at Tunnel Barn Farm, a little bit more, as in this case with the Vets Open and the odd festival coming up as well. And just reporting back, the good, the bad, the ugly of how I get on, but also how the fishery changes and who's catching and how they're catching and things like that. So in terms of yesterday's match, I've started dobbing bread at 2 foot across. So it's a bit of a pain in the wind, but I've caught 7 F1s, so that was quite nice over the first 45 minutes before the wind got up and made that untenable. So then come short with expanders on the hook, tapping in some micros, and that's been good. I think I've had another 10 F1s on that short line. And then I've had a look shallow. I've been pinging out some maggots. I know my colleague, or my teammate, Misfits teammate, Nick Jameson, caught well shallow on Tuesday. So I wanted to have a look, but I gave that 10 minutes, and before I binned it, I didn't catch. And even at sort of 10 meters with the wind gusting the way it is, the presentation was pretty rubbish. So we gave up on that fairly quickly. I then moved my expander line out a section, and carried on that, and that's been good. I've had a good run on that, and that's kept me going for 3.5 hours, I think. And then I've gone down my margins. The margins have been a bit disappointing. I've been fishing sweet corn on the hook and tapping in a bit of ground bait, but I didn't seem to make them work. So maybe I got them wrong, maybe they weren't right, but I'm pretty sure if I'd carried on fishing expanders and micros, I would have done better. Anyway, in the end, we've weighed in 74 pounds. And in terms of the results overall, so I think there were 55, 56 fish in the match. Just looking at the results now, Dave Watson has won it on high pull, 84 pounds. He was just behind me. Dave Chapman, who was on 21, two pegs up from me, he had 79 pounds. Dave Orrell was on 50 on high pull. He's had 77 pounds. Peter Falk had 76 pounds off high pull 23. Ken Turner had 75 pounds off new pull 29. And I had 74 pounds in 6, and I was just ahead of Brian Edwards on 15 next to me, and he's had 71 pounds. So all very tight at the top. Just reflecting on my match, take the positives out from it. Great fish out in some windy conditions. It's not something I'm terribly good at, so it's good to get some exposure to that. Good fish on high pull. Because I fish on Saturdays mainly, and they don't tend to put high pull in on the opens, don't get to see it very often, but when you fish festivals, you inevitably end up drawing high pull, so it's good to get some exposure to it, and that was helpful. And it's nice to catch on expanders and micros. It's something I tend to do more of an incidental than a sort of core line, and it was nice to actually catch a volume of fish on it. And I think I learned a bit from that yesterday, and certainly something I'm going to be doing more of. In terms of sort of what I might do different, definitely got that last hour and a half wrong. As Dave Chapman has said to me, and I mentioned in the comment as we were fishing, that never come off feeding fish. And I was catching quite well on expanders and micros, and I was just tempted by this mirage of the margins, and that I might be really bagging up there. But frankly, if I'd have carried on doing what I was doing, I think I probably would have had 90 or 100 pounds. It might have dried up, but I could have gone out a section longer, maybe, or moved the line to the left or the right, and I think it would have resumed catching. So, bit of a mistake, but there you go. It was a lovely day. It's, 74 pound in February is fantastic. So in terms of next match, we're going to fish on Saturday. So tomorrow, conditions look okay. So slightly cooler, slightly a little bit rainier by the look of it, but less wind, which would be nice. So we will wind up this one, and get ready for tomorrow's match, and we'll be reporting back on that as well. Anyway, thanks very much and catch you again soon.